Okay, so these letters are going to tell us the introduction for our dealer. If you want to listen in, we're not asking for one cent, we're not selling anything. But you can, all we do ask is a little participation in a game with some numbers. Ooh. So, this game we're going to play, there's only one answer. We're going to choose some numbers from this grid here. 5 numbers we're going to choose. When we choose a number, I'm going to take out the rest of that row and the rest of that column. When we finish, the answer must be 65. That's the answer we're looking for at the end. So, will anyone start me off, first of all, with a number between 1 and 25?
9.
Number 9, thank you. So, as we've chosen number 9, we're going to take out the rest of that row and the rest of that column. And there we are, number 9. 18, thank you. Another number there, 18. Again, lose the rest of that row, the rest of that column. So we know we've chosen number 18. Over there perhaps. 21, thank you. 21. Lose this, this. It's a windy day today. Another number perhaps? Over at the back? You can give me the number of your birth, any number significant that you'd like.
He said 12. She said 12.
I didn't hear you. Number 12. So we put number 12 here. And that leaves us with only one number left. Number 5. So, we're not, you could do the maths with me. 9 plus 5, 14. Plus 12 is 26. Plus 18 is 43. 44. Plus 21, 65. There is, like I said, only one answer. I'm going to speak to you now about the answer to a lot of the other problems we have in our lives. Now when I write this, don't go running away because you've heard people telling you things that aren't always necessarily true. People talk about God, sometimes they want to make it into an obligation. You know, they want to say you have to join this organization, you have to do whatever we say, you have to knock on doors when we tell you to. These things aren't all, strictly speaking, what God is asking us for, and they're certainly not what the Bible tells us that we have to do. The reason God is the answer to our problems, but we still have problems. Now why is that? That's a very good question. Sometimes I ask it myself, but the reason is because God is here and we are far away from God. It's effectively a broken relationship. Now if you have a broken relationship, there's counselors, there's people you can go to help. And the first thing they'll always start with is, where is the problem in this relationship? Why is it not working? The problem in our relationship with God can be summed up in one word. And that word is sin. It's a word which people sometimes misunderstand. When we use the word sin in the Christian Bible, the only purpose of that word isn't to make people frightened, to make people feel bad. It's to make people understand their need to restore a relationship with God. You have to know you're sick before you go to a doctor, before you get something that will make you well again. And that's why the Bible uses this word sin, is to make you realize that the relationship with God is broken. Because we know the 10 Commandments, we know that the commandment, do not lie. Who's never told a lie? All of us tell a lie at some point. I certainly did. I know that I have. What people try and do to mend this relationship in our own strength sometimes, we try and effectively build a little ladder by which we're going to reach God. We can try and do good works to try and reach God. Can you give me an example? Look, I mean, if I start you off, you could say, I'm going to give to the poor. And I see a poor person, instead of walking away, I'm going to share what I have with them. You might say that makes me a little bit more like God. Built a little ladder to be slightly closer to God. That's true. I could go to church. Not a bad thing in itself. I go to the church, I say some prayers, I read some books. But at the end, we try and build our little ladder here in our own strength, trying to be like God. We'll always fail at some point, because Imagine the sin I committed 20 years ago. I can't go back in time and correct it. And I can't really say, in all honesty, that I'll never sin again. So this sin, what it is, it's a barrier. It's a break in our relationship with God. But the Bible tells us that God so loved the world that He sent His Son down to us to be with us. And He didn't send His Son only as far as this. It's not only people who are philanthropists, people who've opened hospitals with their names on the door. It's all of us that God came down to. God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, that whosoever would believe in Him would perish to have eternal life. Misunderstand eternal life sometimes. Eternal life isn't something that starts when you die. Eternal life starts now, if you want to. When we repair our relationship with God, we know that we won't perish, even if we die, even if something bad happens to us and we get sick and we die at a very young age, which can happen. Our relationship with God is in fine order, and when we die, we'll leave the earth to go and be with Him. And this is what Jesus did. He died on the cross. We all know that part of the story. We know about His birth, about His teaching. When He came to earth, He taught people. Let us make some audience.
Yeah, I do.
He wants to show His love to people by dying, so that we can have a restored relationship with God. The other thing about the story of Jesus is He rose from the dead. People who saw Him rose from the dead. Miracles and then He rose from the dead. People wrote about it. You would write a book about that, wouldn't you, if you saw such a thing? And we can still read today things that they wrote. And then Jesus Himself went up to God to prepare the way for us. And that's essentially the story of what the Bible teaches, just told in a very brief 5-minute sketch. I've got some literature here that I can give out to you. Already got one thing that I can give out to you, which will just explain a little bit more. And if you have some questions, rather than run away, why not get them answered? I'm very happy to help. But they will see that you're sure help you also. But thank you very much for listening, sir.